From Montana's news leader, this is the MTN 530 News.
I'm Mitch Laggy. Water levels at Lake Elmo in Billings down about 6 to 8 feet in an effort to fight invasive Asian clams. I'll bring you the story coming up.
I'm Brandon Warren, and coming up, we'll talk about why you might see sheriff's officers wearing pink.
Good evening, and thank you for joining us on your Wednesday. I'm Jeanelle Slade. We'll have those stories in just a moment. But first tonight, they're calling it LA traffic jams in the shipping lanes of the Pacific Ocean, but it's impacting our local businesses here in Montana. As Q2's Andrea Lutz reports, your favorite Billings shopping spot may now be dealing with delayed deadlines.
Here in Billings, that backlog at ports on the West Coast and the East Coast across the nation, all of that is even having its impacts on some of our local businesses here in town.
Out in the Pacific Ocean, it's a parking lot filled with cargo ships. These ships are waiting to dock, waiting to be unloaded.
We look at it and go, oh, that's where our jackets are.
Officials say a huge surge in imports is partly to blame, but also not enough truck drivers to unload these shipments coming from Asia.
We're for sure aware and watching it.
But the backlog is finding its way all the way to Montana, leaving businesses like Base Camp on Grand looking at an 8-week delay in some of their shipments.
And we've been watching it for about a year, really. I guess that's why we've worked on so hard on having a full inventory, so there is better selection.
Still, General Manager Diane Morgan says they saw this coming.
Everybody's going to feel it a little bit.
When you look around at the store, things are pretty full. Morgan says that's because she buys every single day to try and navigate any shortages coming down.
So we're just experiencing a few delays, like insulated footwear. Some of that makes us a little nervous with the weather change.
The situation's creating delays on everything from furniture to electronics, even those holiday items. But because Base Camp is a small business with what Morgan says are great reps, they've been able to adjust and maneuver.
But overall, we're not anticipating not getting product before holiday.
Businesses all over are also experiencing delays.
I just went to the girl that cuts my hair and said, so are you seeing it? And she said, yes, because I can't get all of the supplies that I usually request.
And this congestion, well, it could last a while because port officials on the coast say they don't expect things to get back to normal again until sometime next year. In Billings, Andrea Lutz, MTN News.
In Billings, wildlife officials have gotten a good start on draining Lake Elmo to fight an invasive species, Asian clams, that was first found in the lake's waters in 2019. Thus far, between 6 and 8 feet of water have been drained from the lake. The clams have two weaknesses, the cold and lack of water. Draining the lake strips away the food source that the filter-feeding clams normally have in the water. Then the Montana winter should do the trick to kill them all off.
Any of the invasive Asian clams that are in here to freeze, starve, and dry up during the winter, and that we hope will eradicate them. The bigger problem is that they can get out of here and clog up water intakes for irrigation, things like that, and we don't want them to do that. This is the only place in Montana that they've been found, and we want to keep it that way.
The 61-acre man-made Lake Elmo is fed by irrigation water from the Billings Bench Water Association canals. It's been partially drained before, but this is the lowest the lake's been in at least 30 years. Crews worked Wednesday to dig a trench from the headgate to deeper water to get as much out as possible before pumps will likely be brought in to get out the rest. The lake bed is open for the public to walk on, but they're asked not to take anything they find or bring a metal detector. To preserve history, metal detecting is illegal in Montana state parks.
We don't want people even coming around thinking that they're doing the right thing by picking up old beer cans and beer bottles and things like that, because we don't want any of that anything accidentally to get out of here or to illicitly get out of here.
And while it's dry, there's easier access for some park improvements worth about $500,000. And once complete, a steep, rocky section of the walking path bordering Lake Elmo Drive will be widened to 8 feet, something that will be a welcome addition for Billings resident Clark Finch, who walks the loop around the lake 4 times weekly with his 158-pound Anatolian Shepherd, Max.
Because there's many times when I walk there, you know, people are driving by, you know how it is nowadays with their face down in their phone. and you're right alongside the road, so moving the trail away from the road, so it'll be on the other side. It's going to be much safer. That's going to be awesome.
Construction is scheduled to wrap up before the next irrigation season, with the ditches scheduled to flow on April 15th. In Billings, Mitch Laggy, MTN News.
The South Moccasin fire, burning 7 miles northwest of Lewistown, has now claimed 5 buildings, none of which are homes. Now, despite the damage, there are no evacuations ordered at this hour. Now, the fire currently remains at just under 12,000 acres. There are 146 personnel fighting the flames that are burning in heavy timber and grass on mostly private land. Crews were able to conduct strategic burn operations on the southwest and southeast side of the fire last night and have been successful in keeping the fire south of the Denton Highway, even though that highway does remain partially closed at this hour. Now, the cause of the fire is under investigation. And we now bring in Chief Meteorologist Ed McIntosh. Ed, changes are definitely on the way, more specifically cold and rain.
That's right. We're going from near record high temperatures in the eastern plains, warm enough, dry enough, and breezy enough. Once again, critical wildfire conditions in the eastern edge of Montana extending into the Dakotas, and thunderstorm activity starting to develop in southwest Montana. But by the time we get into the early part of next week, we're really going to see a downturn in the temperatures. That's almost a for sure, with widespread rain and snow showers to go along with it. That could even mean some heavy snow and likely close Beartooth Pass. Chance of even some snow for the lower elevations, and freezing cold temperatures are possible across the area as well. We're going to take a closer look at the details in just a little bit.
A local law office is now challenging a new state law that prevents businesses from mandating their employees be vaccinated. Now, the suit was filed in state court by the Netzer law firm in Billings and Sydney. Netzer says it would like to exercise its own professional judgment on whether to require employees be vaccinated and keep workers and clients safe from communicable diseases, but says the new law prohibits it from doing so, and that this prohibition violates Montana's constitutional guarantee to a clean and healthful environment. The suit comes 2 weeks after a coalition of medical groups and patients filed a similar suit in federal court in Missoula, asking to strike down the law as it applies to doctors' offices. Now, the suit filed Tuesday is broader and asks the court to invalidate the law for all businesses. Well, as COVID cases mount across the state, right now Montana holds steady at 53% vaccination rate, one of the lowest in the nation. Missoula County leads the way with 65% of residents fully vaccinated, while Powder River and Macomb counties have the lowest rate at 27%. Yellowstone County now even with the state at 53%. Now, the state's active COVID cases are nearing 12,000 after adding more than 1,300 new cases today. Yellowstone County once again saw the most new cases with 237. 444 Montanans remain hospitalized tonight, and nearly 2,100 have died from the virus after 16 new deaths reported today.
October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and many people wear pink to show their support for that. This year, the Yellowstone County Sheriff's Office has new patches for this month.
Cancer touches everybody. Everybody knows somebody who's fought or lost a battle to cancer.
That's why sheriff's officers are encouraged to wear pink patches all month to show community support, a topic hitting close to home.
We had Sergeant Nick Reyna, who lost his battle to pancreatic cancer. And typically it's for breast cancer awareness, but we wanted to spread it out to everybody that has cancer.
Sergeant Nick Reyna passed away in February after losing his battle to cancer.
With Sergeant Nick Reyna, it was huge. He sat in this exact same office and told me he had pancreatic cancer. And it was a life-changing event for everyone in this office.
The patches are $5 a piece and can be purchased by anybody working at the sheriff's office or detention center. There's also a limited availability for the public. All proceeds of the patches go towards cancer research. In Billings, Brandon Warren, MTN News.
Still ahead on tonight's MTN 530 News here on Q2. From downtown to the West End, there's now a new and safer bike route. We'll show you. And later in sports, one Bridger football player is making a big name for himself because of his big leg. We'll meet him in just a bit.
The MTN 530 News continues right after this.